The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to another exciting edition of our D-Link webinar series. Today we're going to be talking about our range of smart home products that we have currently available and quite a few that we've got coming up in the future. So it's a sneak peek into what's next over the next few months for D-Link and the sorts of products we're going to be bringing to market. As always, here with me today is Craig. Would you like to say hello to the audience, Craig?
Yep, hello everyone, thanks for joining.
We've got a lot of slides to work through today. As you can imagine, we've got a lot of stuff that's due for release in across 2020. So if we jump straight in, hopefully there'll be enough time for questions. You can leave your questions in the side chat as usual, but we might run out of time before we get to those questions due to the number of slides we've got, but we'll whiz through as much as we can, and any questions we can't answer, we'll obviously come back to you on email, or we'll give you a call to discuss, or we'll see how it goes with today's webinar. So just to start, I'm sure that we all know, but a smart home is basically a network of devices within your home or your flat or wherever that are all interconnected, and they can all talk to each other. They can all be remotely controlled. They can all be scheduled. And D-Link does that via the mydlink app, which we'll talk about a little bit later on because we've got some upgrades coming. But at the very start and the gateway to your house is the router. So that's the first place that we always start with these presentations. So if we flip over, we've got today's range of routers on here, and these are our EXO smart routers. We've got the three models on there, from the entry AC 1900, 1960, all the way through to the top of range 3060, which is AC 3000, and has the 6 antennas on there just for that extra coverage. Have you got anything to add here, Craig, about these routers?
Yeah, so these routers, they actually have quite a few different features. So if you've got a router, perhaps you purchased from an ISP, you'll know that you have some very standard things that you can do and can't do. With these ones, basically, it's like imagine it on a router that's really modified with a few business features. So, for example, VPN connectivity, really good firewall, packet inspecting firewall that's able to actually check traffic, things like that. And then plus you've got the McAfee part introduced as well, which allows you to monitor the devices. So there's quite a few things there. Dynamic DNS is included as well. So not just a standard feature, but it does everything from small homes, maybe even small office, especially if you're working at home, that sort of thing, and especially good for if you're a gamer.
I wonder where people can learn more about some of the features, such as VPNs and other stuff on these routers, Craig.
Oh, I don't know. It might be something bite-sized, perhaps.
Yeah, you can check out our YouTube channel. We do apologise. We have a video on dynamic DNS, but one of us, namely me, has had a bit of issue with our work laptop. But we're going to get that sorted, and we're going to get the. We're all ready to go. We've half recorded the video, but we just haven't been able to put the final touches. But part 3, dynamic DNS, will be out, and we've got many more planned for that in the future. They're proving to be very popular. The other side is, of course, the McAfee stuff, which is great because it adds some extra protection to your network, etc. So that's still available on the on the current range. The 1950 on the screen at the moment is the newest router, And people ask about this router. Well, you've already got an AC 1900 router. Why are you producing another one? Well, there's the two main reasons here are that this one contains an updated chipset. It's a slightly different looking model, as you can see, which is part due to the chipset manufacturer. And this model also comes with the latest WPA3 wireless encryption standard built into it. As Craig mentioned earlier, the EXO routers can be used for home, for small offices and home. And with the added number of people working from home at the moment, WPA3 is it's going to become invaluable to have that extra added layer of security there.
It is. It's particularly handy to have that sort of thing, especially if you live in like a block of flats or an apartment building where there's lots of people in a concentrated area.
Yeah.
Having that extra wireless encryption is probably something you want, especially if you're working from home and you've got business devices on the network. So it's worth having in this day and age.
Yeah, financial transactions, email addresses, all that kind of stuff on your work laptop that you're now using on your personal network. So I'll ask the boss if he'll pay for you to have an upgraded router. Okay. As we mentioned, I've already touched on antennas, but we've got high performance external antennas, and what will give you a coverage on what looks like a very nice house there. As a lot of people will attest to, they'll have the router at one end of the house, and then the signal won't reach the other end. We always say to people, place your router as central to the house as possible, but that's not the case. That's not the case with myself. The furthest bedroom is about as far away from my router as you can get, but with good aerial placement and pointing of antennas, I still managed to get 4 bars in my bedroom. So.
Yeah, and I think it's important that you do have external antennas on a device like this, because it's very easy to overthink and look at devices where they've got built-in antennas. They're good for small places, but if you've got homes where you've got walls, especially some of these walls that have got plaster. I know I live in a place where there's plaster in the walls, and I know there's a mesh, and when you have a mesh in the wall like that, it acts like a Faraday cage. So being able to angle the actual beam and adjust your aerials to dependent on where you want to be using it, that's actually quite handy sometimes. So it's not something to be underestimated.
Yeah, cavity wall insulation might be good for energy proofing your house, but it's not so good with Wi-Fi signals. Multi-user MIMO. This is one of Craig's favourite topics, I have to say.
Multi-user MIMO, essentially what it means is that if you've got multiple devices that are connecting to the router, now in the past, single-user MIMO just used to handle one, and then it would go on to the next one, and then the next, and then eventually back to the beginning. So it does one at a time. With multi-user MIMO, what that means is the devices are actually served at the same time, and there's no waiting for other devices on the network, so it speeds things up.
Yeah, the picture demonstrates the beauty of this, of the average front room where there's 4 or 5 different devices and a TV, probably streaming Netflix. Every one of them is running in unison. And on top of that, it's not mentioned in this presentation, but you can watch our bite size on quality of service, so that the most internet savvy person in the room can make sure that their device gets the most privileges, which we don't recommend. Like we'd say, obviously, if you have a work laptop and you're working from home, give your device the highest level of privilege when it comes to bandwidth traffic. But yeah, all of those features are available on this new 1950 router. Moving on to the last part, one of the parts that we don't push very much about our routers is the app that comes with them. When you buy a D-Link router, you'll open up the box and you get a QR card in there, which can just be scanned by your phone. It takes you straight to the app, downloads the app, and runs you through this setup service. And the interface is as clean as you can see on the screen there. It is literally that. it tells you when you're connected, it tells you how many devices are connected, it tells you your upload and download speed. You just simply press the test internet button at the bottom there, and it will retest there to make sure that everything is running as smooth as possible on your network.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing I think can't be understated, Alan, is this is really handy if you're in a household where maybe you have children, and maybe sometimes those children don't always listen to you, or don't want to do their homework, or don't want to go to bed on time. You can just pull out the phone, look at the clients, and maybe just temporarily block internet access. And then, I'm sure things will go in order straight away after that. But very, very handy if you're a family person.
Definitely. Or just turn the whole thing off from an app. give the internet a rest. Oh dear. Okay. Moving on. As I'm sure if anybody who was here last time when we did this presentation, you know about the new W118 smart plug. I still say new now because we still sell the original W115 version. It still does. It still ships out of the door, so it's still a good product there. But the 118 is the newer version, the mini version, which allows you to have two smart plugs in the socket next to each other, which is a feature that a lot of people were asking for. So the point of a smart plug, if the router is obviously the gateway, and the smart plug would be the control device. So we look at the smart plug, and it will allow you to schedule, it will allow you to automate, and it will also allow you to remote control any of the devices that you've got set up on your smart plug network. So Craig and I often use real life examples. Over the winter, I have a small dog, and we're both out during the day, and so I have my lamp programmed to come on at 4 p.m. when it gets dark, so the poor guy doesn't have to sit in the dark until I get home at about 7:30. And I know Craig's got a good example of his heater.
Yeah, so we have electric heaters in the house, two large ones and a small one in the hall. And basically with a smart plug, what we do is we tie it up to Alexa as well. So if we're watching TV, it gets a bit chilly, just say, hey Alexa, turn on the heating. Turn on the heating in the living room, for example, or turn on the heating in the bedroom. Or just turn on the heating and it'll do all of them at the same time, so you can actually automate it. But it's particularly nice in the winter time when you're working away from home and you've got to make that commute home. You can put it on a schedule. So I normally have them coming on probably about an hour before I know I'm going to get home. But at the same time, if I know I'm not going to be going home, going to be something else, then I can turn a schedule with my phone and just have it off. Maybe just turn it on when I do leave from the pub or something like that, if I'm going home a bit later. So it's there, ready, warmed up when I get home.
Yeah. Well, the other example to that is every morning favourite. Just have your coffee ready made and percolated for when you jump out of bed, and you can have the fresh smell of coffee as you wander into your bedroom bleary eyed, and help you get ready for your day.
Yeah.
Craig's briefly touched on Alexa, but of course there are other brands of smart speaker available in the market. We must always point that out.
It's not just Alexa; it's Google as well. So if you have a Google Home,
I do.
You can easily find it up. Oh, you're using Google? Excellent.
Yeah, one of each here, Craig. We don't take sides. I've got the Google with the screen, which I absolutely love. But no brand endorsement here. The Alexa is a perfectly fine alternative as well. I'm sure that there's others out there as well, but obviously these are the two big ones in the marketplace.
Yeah, it really does make life so much simple, just being able to call out, turn something on, turn something off.
Well, I mean, as you frequently know, Craig, losing the TV remote control, I can't find the TV remote control. I can't turn the TV on. Hey, I'm not going to say it because it will, but asking your smart speaker to turn on your TV, at least you've got half the battle done.
Very smart. Very smart.
Okay. So what have we got coming in 2020? So there's a number of products. We haven't featured everything today, due to time constraints. But what we've done is we've picked out a couple of the best cameras, the new routers, and the 5G devices, which we think will be most of interest to the audience today. So we're going to start off with cameras. We all know what's going on at the moment, and I don't need to dwell on what's happening in the world, but there have been obvious consequences of that, and a few of those have been disruptions in the supply chain, and so the mydlink DCS8325 was actually released earlier in the year, but stocks haven't made their way into Europe as yet. So we're still counting this as a new product. The delay of a few months hasn't affected the quality of this camera. You can see on the screen there all of the things that it does, and I don't need to go into loads of detail on each of those. But from the perspective how we talk about and how we market this camera to people out there is to talk about the AI-based edge intelligence video analytics and person detection, which sounds like a big mouthful, but our marketing director, he explains it best as one time he was on the golf course and he was just about to tee off, and he got an alert on his watch, which is linked to his phone, of somebody was on his property. And basically what it turned out to be was, when he checked his app, it was the wind blowing the trees in his back garden. So he duffed his tee shot and then had a really bad round, all down to this false positive that came from his camera, or so he says. I mean, having seen him play, I'm not sure that's the case. But so what our new range of cameras do, which makes them slightly above some of the competition, is they don't do that. They can tell the difference between humans and trees. They can tell the difference between humans and pets. And it really is all about the intelligence of the camera. So if you don't want to be like Neil and you want to shoot a good round of golf, then D-Link cameras and the new range of D-Link cameras really are the ones for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, just to touch on my personal experience with these, Alan, I know that when I've been abroad, especially when I got married last year, we were in a place, we're in India, and it's very, very bad Wi-Fi and signal over there. So when you do get something, say such a detection, whether it's just a small movement, it can be quite nerve-wracking, because you can't always get straight onto the feed. But having something where it just shows a snapshot and it's more accurate, it really does give you that little extra bit of peace of mind. And when you do get a false positive from cameras in the past, it can ruin your day. It really can make you feel uneasy. So having that extra piece to the puzzle kind of just makes its life so much better.
Yeah, I agree entirely. So that's the 8325. Up next we have the 8526, which is it's a personal favourite. Even though it's replacing the 8515, which was my previous personal favourite, or the R2D2 camera, as we called it, not within the range of George Lucas or Disney, obviously. This one, I don't know what this one resembles, Craig, but it's definitely even smaller and cuter than the 8515.
It is, yeah. It looks really. The thing is, it looks really big on this screen at the moment, but it's quite dinky, and yeah, the mechanism, the feel of the camera as well feels very good quality, high quality in your hand. But the movement of it is very smooth when it's panning from left to right. Yeah. And actually, when you're using the app to control the camera as well, it's quite nice.
The picture on the slide at the moment was taken by the panoramic view of this camera, so that kind of demonstrates the the quality, even across the presentation on a GoToMeeting, you can see the quality and the detail that it picks out. It also won the design awards that you can see on the screen there. If you need any more details, just contact me and I can supply the details for that. And you can see why once you see it, because as we were trying to find a comparison, but to get across the size, and we probably settled on it's probably about the same size as an iPhone 8, Craig, I'd say.
Yeah, I would say in height, yes,
Yeah,
probably about the same as that.
it's
So
not.
not one of those larger phones, but yeah.
Yeah, it's not the same size as R8000, which is a lipstick, but it is a miniature thing. We briefly talked there about the panoramic vision, but the beauty of the 8526 is that the full pan and tilt approach gives you a 360-degree view of your of whichever room that you place it in. When I first got my 8515 and I used it to pan and zoom, the motor makes a small sound, which obviously attracted my dog to come up and sniff it. So I got a great panoramic view up my dog's nose, which got some great feedback on social media. But as with the 8325 that we mentioned earlier, the new cameras with the added intelligence they come with is the tracking, is the motion, and the ability to tell the difference between a human and a dog, or a cat, or a pet, etc. So you won't get false positives with this camera with a pet running across your front room, but if somebody breaks into your house, it will obviously pick that up and track the motion, and then let you know that it's a person rather than the aforementioned plants or animals that are moving around.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the camera also comes with the built-in infrared LEDs. As I said, I have the 8515. Craig has tested this camera, so I'm sure he can attest to the quality of the night vision. But even on the previous version, the night vision is very, very good. And this obviously takes it up to a full 1080p image, so that I'm sure that the version on this is even crisper. And it lets you view up to 5 meters in the dark, so a good distance, and probably covers pretty much most front rooms outside of large mansions.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So now on to the most requested. So whenever we've done this presentation, whenever we've done roadshows, most people want to talk about the 8627 because it's the first D-Link camera that comes with the spotlight built into it. Everyone in the office as well seems to be very interested in this device, apart from me, because I live in a flat. And I'm second floor, so it's not much use to me, but people look at this and they think, I want one of those for my back garden.
Yeah, it's perfect for anybody who's got a gate, and just being able to have a spotlight that comes on when the gate opens.
Yeah.
Perfect. When you go into bed 11:30, something kicks off at about 2 o'clock in the morning. It's also got sound detection as well.
Yeah, as you'd expect, it's fully waterproof, and wall mountable as you fully expect. So the 8627, again, it's a full 1080p camera, operates at 30 frames per second, day or night. Any camera that doesn't operate at 30 frames per second today will let you down, because it won't capture the motion correctly at all. Pardon me. And as with the range of all the cameras that we've talked about today, it has the same AI built in as the 8325 and the 8526 that allow it to distinguish between a fox in your garden and an actual person in your garden. So you won't get it coming on for those false positives. Anyone who's got a proximity light in their back garden and the local hedgehog wakes them up at 3 a.m., that won't happen with this camera.
Yeah.
So to demonstrate the night vision, we have here what will be a standard camera looking in the dark without the light. So as soon as the camera detects motion, it will switch the light on, and you can see there the full difference in terms of the clarity of the image that you'll get, which pardon me, will help identify any unwanted activity in the garden.
Yeah, and I think that's the key point, is that with the light and the enhanced color detection, you're almost picking up, it's almost like daytime vision that you're getting. So when it comes to identifying facial features, clothing, brands, anything like that, if there is an event and you need to highlight it or maybe talk to the police about things, then you've got that extra bit of detail, so that you can pinpoint things. And God forbid, if someone actually does break into your home and steals things, then there's no more chance of actually retrieving it back. So it's not something to be aware of on the cameras as well. And I think in the past, it wasn't so much possible to actually put a spotlight camera on any kind of camera device, because you didn't have that person detection. So it would constantly be going off like a blind sensor all the time. So having that feature where you can actually person detection with the light as well, it gives it that extra bit of focus, and you know, it's less annoying for the neighbors as well.
Yeah, thanks for covering then, Craig. I had a little frog in my throat. Sorry. Adding to what Craig said there about that is it's got a siren built into it as well, so that may annoy the neighbours, but if it as it cuts down on the false positives, and there's a much less likelihood that it's going to pick up a hedgehog, then I don't think anybody's going to be too bothered about an alarm going off if it does actually help you halt a crime, especially in. Okay, so we briefly touched on these bits there. So the 8627 has inbuilt glass break detection, which is absolutely fantastic. I think this camera is very well built for all the different scenarios that can happen around there. So you've got the edge-based person detection, so you get a lot less false positives. You've got the light to give you the full color view that will help with any investigations if anything does go wrong. And you'll also get these rich notifications pushed straight through to your phone. So you'll be alerted straight away. So if you're upstairs in bed and there's glass break downstairs, then you'll know, and you can alert the police straight away. So I've touched on the next slide without realizing there.
Yes, the rich notifications, just without trying to cut you off, Alan, very handy. Again, like if you're in those environments where Wi-Fi might be a little bit shaky, maybe something you can't quite look at the video feed, maybe Wi-Fi isn't that good enough to do that in that area, but just having that screenshot come up of the event that's happened. So maybe someone's come home, maybe it's your wife or girlfriend or whatever, they come home, open the door, been spotted on the camera, you know they're home safe and sound as well. So it gives you a little bit of peace of mind in that area, and then you can just turn the camera off, or they'll turn the camera off. But it'll give you a snapshot of what's happened and why it's actually been detected straight on the phone without having to even go into the app.
Well, and the shortcuts on the screen there, you can see the options there to have a live view, to call your next door neighbour, or to call your wife straight from the front screen. So very handy. You don't have to log into the app. You don't have to wait for that to boot up. The action is there and then, and you can respond to it immediately, which is absolutely great. The two-way camera, the two-way audio that's built into the cameras. You can use this for a multitude of reasons. So, for instance, the first time I set up my camera, I used it to scare my wife, as I'm sure a lot of people would. I also use it to talk to the dog because I'm crazy. But it's a useful device, especially on an exterior camera, as you can see on the screen here. So you can detect who's at your front door. And you can talk to them to let them know that the gate's open or the door's open, which is absolutely great. Especially if you're not home, you can still log into the camera feed and see, and you can say, "Oh, I'll be home in 5 minutes," etc. So you can you can stay in touch wherever you are. So, but very similar to a certain doorbell device that we won't mention.
Yeah, and more importantly, if someone is in your house, shouldn't be
Yes.
there, you can
Yeah.
certainly shout at them through the speaker, say, "Hey, get out." So that's another.
How effective that will be, Craig, I'm not sure, but worth a try.
Maybe worth a try.
Don't touch my PlayStation. We briefly touched on WPA3. So all of the cameras that you've seen today are built in with what we're calling the future of wireless encryption. It's the future, but it's here now. So let's get everyone upgraded to it because it's the safest security standard that's out there. So we won't go into everything on this slide for the sake of time, but you can see on the screen there that there's a lot of added protection and increased data encryption, for instance, all sorts. So just an added layer of protection on all the new cameras that come from D-Link, and in fact on pretty much all the new products where we can put it in. Cloud subscription. So you get your free cloud subscription with any D-Link camera, as you can see there, and the videos and images are stored for 1 day. You can obviously take on a paid subscription. So, for instance, when Craig went off to for his honeymoon, he was gone for 21 days. So if Craig would have had to have signed up for the Pro plan to get the 30 days worth of storage there, if anything
That's right. Yeah.
had gone wrong while he was away. But all prices are in US dollars. As Craig let me know, this you will be charged if you sign up for a subscription in US dollars. So we've left it on there. But we're with current exchange rates, you can pretty much almost change those to pounds. So
Yeah.
But, who knows what's going to happen with the economy over the next few? That might the price of that might halve, or it might go up. And if it goes up, then obviously we'll have to look at what we do with that. But definitely a good idea to look at one of these cloud storage plans, so that your videos are stored and added safety. You can also choose to pay yearly, which gets you a little bit of a discount. Ostensibly, paying yearly will save you 2 months worth of subscription if you pay off in one go. So yeah, Wi-Fi 6. So leaving the cameras behind, D-Link's got 3 new Wi-Fi 6 routers, 2 of which are coming very shortly. By shortly, they should be hitting the market in June. And then the third, which is probably going to be late Q3, early Q4. Wi-Fi 6 is the next generation of speed in Wi-Fi. Craig and myself did a full webinar on Wi-Fi 6 and a full journey through from the original Wi-Fi standards all the way through to Wi-Fi 6. And Wi-Fi 6 is increasingly becoming the standard, and obviously the popularity of the product is really growing. and that's due to the number of upgrades that come with Wi-Fi 6 with regards to capacity, speed, and the less interference that you get from current wireless AC networks.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, I know we did cover it in another Wi-Fi session, but for a long time, the 2.4 gigahertz range was untouched. So AX brings slight changes to not just the 5 gigahertz range, which has got a lot of the current Wave 2 kind of standards, but also the 2.4. So we kind of bring that multi-user MIMO to 2.4, and as we all know, 2.4 has always been a little bit better in terms of getting that distance of broadcast. So even though it might be a little bit slower, you get further. So you can touch maybe into the garden, that sort of thing. But now you're actually starting to bring in some of the other technologies that are really good for smart home. So things like BSS coloring, and more specifically how it handles when a device is able to talk to the router and the wake time of it. So what you'll find is that if you do have one of these new phones and things like that, you might get some better battery life throughout the day because it talks to the router about when to turn itself on and off to check things.
So yeah, as Craig briefly touched on the dual band nature of Wi-Fi 6 on that last one. But as you can see there in the graph on the side there, the maximum combined speeds, the MultiUser streams, and you can see there added MultiUser to upstream, which really does make a big difference. The aggregation has gone from OFDM to OFDM-A. All of this we explain more in the Wi-Fi 6 webinar that we did previously, but all of this adds up to a lot higher capacity, a lot higher speeds, and Craig, am I right there that the MultiMIMO being added to 4 upstream streams should improve a lot of people's uploads? Because
it will do, yeah, especially if you're requesting downloads or sharing to, let's say, for example, uploading a file to your whatever cloud storage device that you have. You will find that it's much better in terms of the communication speed on your local network. So everybody trying to pull and do things at the same time is more smooth. Still reliant on the amount of bandwidth coming into the house, of course, but it means that there's less wait time. And if you are lucky enough to have something like a big fiber connection coming into the building, this will be perfect for you, because then you can really maximize the amount of data that's coming in and out the network.
Nice. So as we touched on the last slide, OFDM, we used the example of the trucks in our webinar previously, where the difference between OFDM and OFDM-A is the capacity, and using 3 trucks with 1 pallet on versus using 2 trucks with 2 pallets on, and 2 trucks, 1 with 2 pallets on and 1 with 1 pallet on. So you don't get the gaps in the transmission in AX that you did in AEC. Have I explained that correctly, Craig?
Perfect. Yeah, you've done really well there, Alan. I was ready to yeah, it's exactly what it says. The traffic is optimized on the network. So whereas a packet of information might have an amount of data, you're able to increase the amount that you're able to shift through the network by making sure that it's more optimized per packet. Yeah, absolutely right.
Yeah, brilliant. So now on to what we've got coming. So on the left-hand side, we've got the X1560, which is an AC 1500. In the middle, we've got the DRX 1860, which is AC 1800. And then we've got the beast on the right, which is the is it 54? I think it's the 5460. So obviously each of those corresponds to the wireless speed, and the one on the right is a real is going to be a real powerhouse. So all of the early adopters and gamers, we're really looking at you guys to take up the challenge and give that one a good test and see how it goes. But yeah, so the full stats for each one are on the screen now. So the X5460, I did get it correct. The 6 antennas and pardon me, the 5 gigahertz speed at 4,800 megabits. That one's really going to fly. But the improvement between Wi-Fi AC and Wi-Fi AX is going to be noticeable on all of these devices, isn't it, Craig? Because of the upgrade in technology. It's not just all about the speed; it's about the extra capacity and the stuff that we've talked about before about how Wi-Fi optimizes the information transfers.
Yeah, absolutely. So how it talks, how it communicates, and more importantly, latency on the network as well is reduced when you factor all of these things together.
Brilliant. Yeah, all of these routers come with a built-in Ookla speed test, which is very useful. As when setting up quality of service on your router, you can just press the button from within the app and set up the quality of service on there and test the speed. So it's a proper verified source. So that's inbuilt into the router. So you can really check whether you're getting the full performance out of it or not.
Yeah, absolutely.
5G.
And that brings us on to 5G. Yeah, 5G.
Last topic for the day, and 5G is going to be brief for anyone out there who's got to shoot off at 11:15 on the dot. So 5G is beginning to roll out now. I myself have a Samsung Galaxy S20 Plus, so I'm waiting. I have a 5G tariff, but obviously being in leafy Maidenhead, I don't have much use for it. But it was a bargain, so that's why I picked it up. But I am future-proofed and ready for 5G to start rolling out. The beauty of 5G, as we were just talking about increased capacity on Wi-Fi 6, the increased capacity on 5G is well, it's every bit it's level. So the jump between 4G and 5G is much more marked than the jump between Wi-Fi AC and Wi-Fi AX. The peak data rates can be up to 20 times faster. The capacity of the network allows it to supply 1 gigabit connections to multiple workers on the same floor at the same time. And you can connect up to 1 million devices per square kilometer, which is just absolutely crazy. I don't think you can do that at the moment with social distancing, but it's possible. It's possible. And the best stat there, it's able to download a HD movie in as little as 10 seconds. So yeah, I want it.
I think we will.
The main product that we've got coming in this marketplace is the DWR 2101, which is a Wi-Fi 6 mobile hotspot. We have other products, but they're going to be more business facing. This is the most consumer facing out of those products, and you can see there the businessman taking this appliance with him to the office on a business trip, or just using the device at home. It's a truly portable, and to be able to carry that power around in your briefcase or your suitcase will be absolutely fantastic. So it's compatible across networks, across countries. So, like we said, take it with you wherever you go. It has a very large battery built into it that should last up to I believe it was 14 hours, Craig. From the estimates, I think I'm correct there. But
it does depend on what kind of traffic you're pushing through it. But yes, ultimately it's generally around that range.
Yeah, and it broadcasts in wireless AX, so it broadcasts in Wi-Fi 6. So again, you're taking advantage of that newest technology and that faster speed out there. But I am right in saying, obviously, Craig, that this would be backward compatible with any devices.
Yeah, it will be. I think what we're trying to get out here is that it does use the latest standards, but if you do have a device that runs on 4G and 3G, you are still able to connect up to it because it still uses the same standard. That's the whole point of AX, is that it's backwards compatible with any devices that are NG, A, all of the old tech.
Brilliant. Brilliant. So that brings us to the end of today's presentation, today's webinar. Just say a quick thanks to everyone for joining and sticking around with us. We've got a number of webinars coming to keep you guys entertained over the summer. Craig will be talking through some of the VIP Plus tools coming up in the future. We've got a full session on 5G, so we'll take you through a little bit more of the technology, the speeds, and everything like that. We'll do a fuller summary. That's at the end of June. There'll also be a nucleus webinar in between, which I'm not sure if myself or Craig will be on, pardon me, but we're having our salespeople talk through their experience of selling nucleus, and there's a couple of new bits to cover in that. So we've recently launched the MSP program for people to resell nucleus, and there's also another development in that kind of area which we're hopeful to talk about in that webinar. So that's everything that we've got lined up coming through June. We'll have to take the questions that have been left in the side chat offline. We'll come back to you. We've obviously got your details there, so anybody who's asked questions, we'll drop you an email. This will go up on YouTube, so if you do fancy the torture of putting yourself through listening to all this again, or if there's a part that you missed or want to re-listen to, this will be up on YouTube within a couple of hours or so. The contact details for D-Link are at the bottom. Just drop us an email at UKAI@dlink.com if you want any more information on anything you've heard, any presentation details, or any more information we can give. We'll help you out the best we can. Or the office line is still open, 0208 955 9000. You can drop us a line. Anne-Marie will take your calls, and then she'll filter them through to us, and we'll get you any information you need, or pardon me, if you've got any feedback or anything, just let us know. Okay. Thanks to everyone for joining.
Yeah, thanks everybody. And Alan, thanks very much. I know there's a lot of talking for you today, but it gave me a nice break.
Yeah, I'll get my own back on the next one, Craig.
Okay, no problem.
Thanks to everyone. I'll see you again in a couple of weeks' time.
Thanks everyone. Bye-bye.